So, and, you know, you have to know what to look for, and these people do.
You were in black ops in South Africa, Germany, France, and a bunch of other unnamed countries. Were they staging deaths back in the 50s then when you were in?
Not that I know of.
All right, go ahead. I mean, they admit they are now.
One of the things I might interject here, I'm glad they passed me over for MK Ultra.
Okay, Bob,
every
continue.
Time I think about that, I say to myself, my goodness gracious, you know, there but for the grace of God go I.
Well, the L.A. Times reported that Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was CIA and volunteered for MK Ultra. So, good thing they did pass you over, Bob. But continue. So explain. I have the Associated Press reporting here that 171 billion, not 50. We've been saying it was over 100. 171 billion has disappeared. That's what Madoff really stole. And that now they've put out an asset forfeiture seizure notice for 171 billion. So why are they telling us 50 billion, but now it's 171 billion?
It's part of the cover-up. And they'll dance around and do all of what they've got to do, and they're going to cover it up. This is just like the BCCI scandal, which was an operation that was run by the Central Intelligence Agency, as well as the Nugan Hand program. And if you remember one of them, we'll say it was Nugan, he committed suicide. He shot himself in the back of the head. And so that's the way these things end up. And the other fellow ended up in jail, and I don't know whether he's still there or not, but, you know, he was protesting. All I was doing was what the government told me to do. And, of course, nobody wanted to listen and nobody cared. But this is not a Ponzi scheme, this Madoff affair. This was a criminal scam. The money went into the company and out the back door, so to speak. It went to the Israeli Discount Bank, Citigroup, Bank Leumi, and off to offshore destinations. And then I think knowing made the mind of Madoff, because I was in that business for 28 years, I think they probably brought the money back into other accounts in the United States to play the market. And, of course, they're loaded with inside information. So who knows how much money the $171 billion made? I mean, it may be worth $5 trillion for all we know.
And then, of course, for those that don't know, Bob, give them the technical name for the plunge protection team. Since the 1980s, that goes in with billions every day to drive it down, prop it up. So for the insiders at the top of the pyramid, at the paramount level, it's all a giant casino rigged for them. And so we hear that they've destroyed half the stock market's value, stolen the police and firemen and teachers' retirement, the private citizens' retirement. But that wealth wasn't destroyed. It was fenced, just like Enron was just a dummy corporation. They took the money out the back door, then they blew it out when they were ready. People need to understand that. These controlled recessions and depressions, these booms and busts, are engineered to consolidate power with vertical integration.
Well, Ronald Reagan, after the collapse in the market in October the 19th, 1987, was convinced that we had to do something about this, and we can't let this sort of thing happen again. And so we need something to protect the markets in the event of emergency. And he signed, and it became final as an executive order in August of 1988, the Working Group in Financial Markets. And its structure is the chairman of the Fed, the head of the Treasury Department, the head of the New York Fed, the head of the Securities Exchange Commission, and the head of the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Corporation. The last two are government agencies, for those of you who don't know. And what they do is they have groups of people all over the world, and they enter into markets all over the world 24/7. And they're using money that's been created out of thin air. They're using treasury funds, which is in one of their subsidiary funds. And they continue to make the market do what they want it to do. A good example is what's going on right now. They fostered and created the rally in the Dow Jones Industrial Average from 6,600 to 8,700. We knew that they'd do that, and we predicted it. Although we didn't predict 8,700, we predicted 8,500, so we weren't completely right, but we were close. And they are keeping the market up by going in and rigging the market. They're doing the same thing with the currencies and the commodities, gold and silver. If you watch almost every Monday morning, the market is up 50 or 100 points, maybe more, and the dollar is strong, and commodities are down, and gold and silver are down. And they don't care who knows anymore. They just do what they want to do arrogantly. And I do have, in tomorrow's issue of the International Forecaster, 2 tapes that I got from CNBC, and those 2 tapes are conversations, in one case with one person and the moderator, and the other case it was 4 people, and they all come to the conclusion that the market's being manipulated. Now, this is a tremendous breakthrough, tremendous, to have this on national television. They have fought it for over 10 years, and I've discussed it with them, and they said, we can't put that on. And just like when I started getting on Fox and ABC and NBC and all that stuff 3 or 4 months ago, pushing Ron Paul's 1207. They said, you can't talk about that on here.
All right, stay there. Stay there, Bob. We got a break. I want to get into this Washington Post story where they got caught selling access to the president for $250,000 a person. Total Project Mockingbird. Just absolutely criminal. I mean, the media is so rigged, folks, the mainstream media.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm here live on the GCN Radio Network. My websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We simulcast always the 3rd and 4th hour at PrisonPlanet.tv for all the members and viewers there at PrisonPlanet.tv. But most days I end up doing 3 or even more hours. In the case of yesterday, I did 3.5 hours live at PrisonPlanet.tv. Your calls for Bob Chapman on a host of issues, a bunch of other financial news coming up in the next long segment. But in this short segment, Bob Chapman, I would get up on air 10, 11 years ago and read congressional investigations about a lot of mainstream media, big radio stations, big TV, and key markets like Chicago, New York, D.C., where people pay for access and where a lot of people pay for their media position. They would pay for their anchor job or pay for their editor's job or pay for the position. It's all kickbacks. And also pay to have access to politicians. And Politico is broken. That's why they keep getting so big. But we already knew. Washington Post is a CIA front. That's come out from OSS and then CIA documents and the church hearings in 1977. It came out in 2003 that Bush was spending tens of billions a year to buy reporters. The media kind of minimized it, just talking about Armstrong Williams to push the socialist No Child Left Behind, federalization of all education. They said, oh, well, he just took $244,000 to go give a few speeches secretly saying, hey, I'm a black conservative. This isn't socialism. But it's CNN, Fox, all these channels have gotten government funding on record. But here's Politico. Washington Post cancels lobbyist event amid uproar, and they were going to pay $250,000 per media and lobbyist to meet at the private home of publisher Catherine Weymouth. Said she was canceling plans for an exclusive salon at her home, where as much as $250,000 the Post offered lobbyists and association executives off-the-record access to those powerful few. Obama administration officials, members of Congress, and even the paper's own reporters and editors. The astounding offer was detailed in a flyer circulated Wednesday to the health care lobbyist who provided it to a reporter because the lobbyist said he felt it was a conflict for the paper. And then now you even have famous reporters coming out and saying Obama is more controlled than Richard Nixon. Helen Thomas is now saying that. In fact, print me that. It's on Infowars.com. Print me that. We've got a link. Print me the article. I want to show people that. Because basically the inside word is, this even happened as inauguration, so that's on record, and the victory party in Chicago, you got to pay them under the table for anything. I mean, this is just pure mafia, isn't it, Bob Chapman?
It certainly is. And it's been going on for years and years, and I'm glad the Post did what they did, and it got exposed. It's a racket.
Well, the Post got caught by Politico. But, I mean, you're saying you're glad they got caught.
Yes, I'm glad they did it, and I'm glad they get caught. So people listening to this program and other people will understand that this is nothing new, and this is the way Washington functions. And that's not supposed to be that way. In fact, lobbyists should be done away with. And as far as elections are concerned, each congressman and each senator or person who wants to run for that office should be funded in equal amounts by the United States government. There should be no private funding. They start running for election 2 months before the election itself, and that's the end of it.